Let's head to Zimbabwe now, where Finance Minister Patrick Chinamasa has acknowledged that the new bond notes aren't meeting the country's demand for cash. However, he told Parliament that Zimbabweans' needs for cash will be met in due course. Of course, the central bank injected about 10 million bond notes and 2 million bond coins into the system on Monday to local and international criticism. Advertised as a bid to stimulate exports, bond notes are a surrogate currency similar to Zimbabwe's bearer cheques between 2003 and 2009. Overprinting back then sparked hyperinflation and widespread shortages, but the central bank insists this won't happen this time around. Well, let's get an update from Zimbabwe. Farai Mwakutoya now joins us in Harare. Farai, as always, welcome to the show. Now, of course, it's just been 3 days since it's been in circulation. We hear vendors are refusing to accept the notes. There are protests against its use and even fears that there could be fakes in circulation. Are Zimbabweans rejecting this note?
Well, Uche, it's pretty hard to tell because, as you quite rightly say, 3 days, very early days. Officials are saying that the launch has been characterized by teething problems. That's how they've referred to them. For instance, on day one, 2 of the major retail chains in the country weren't accepting them. The majority of petrol stations weren't accepting them either. Now you talk about reluctance to accept them on the part of street traders, for instance. And it really comes down to the fact that people are still getting used to these bond notes, still familiarizing themselves with them, perhaps not enough done to educate them beforehand. We all got a glimpse of them just a day before they were launched, and many people are saying that they're not aware of the security features, and so perhaps will hold back and rather be safe than sorry in accepting a counterfeit note, especially because of those fears that had been raised a few weeks ago, rumors about fake notes being in circulation. But beyond this, I think another frustration that many Zimbabweans have expressed, certainly to me when I've gone around the streets, is the fact that the bank queues, the queues outside the banks are still long and they're still forming. I think many people expected that these bond notes would be some sort of magic bullet that would immediately inject an abundance of liquidity into the market, and those those bank queues would disappear overnight. That hasn't happened yet, and so it's still early days, and we're still trying to find our way with these bond notes, Uche.
Well, Farai, we've heard the governor of the Reserve Bank sort of defending the government's plan, of course, to release these notes. Did the government put in place any checks and balances?
Well, certainly I think the checks and balances that the central bank has been at pains to point out is the fact that they are controlling the supply of these bond notes. We have about 10 million notes and 2 million coins, so 12 million worth of this bond currency in circulation, and it's all linked to exports. And beyond that, they're also limiting how much people can actually withdraw from ATMs and from banking halls, all in a bid to try and avoid that situation where there's an excess supply, which might then drive up and fuel parallel market trading. The central bank has also been at pains and issued very stern warnings against manipulating the value of these bond notes. Again, trying to protect and avoid a situation where a parallel market for these bond notes is created.
Well, many thanks, Farai, for those insights. Of course, Farai Mwakutoya joining us there in Harare, Zimbabwe.